Hey, namaste. I'm Kay. This is Ecstatic Self, and today I want to talk a little bit about what is your hero's journey. So, there's a lot of different ways you could describe your life, the journey that you're on, who are you, but are you describing these things as if you were the hero of an epic tale, that you are the center of the universe, and that you're somebody who's taking charge? Because a lot of times when I hear people talk about their stories, I hear it from the tale of being a victim, or bad things happen to them, or how life overwhelmed them. And not to disregard those narratives to say that they're wrong or bad, but you are the story that you tell about yourself. And if you tell about a story about how the world has beaten you down, what does that say? Because we are all the protagonists of our own story, we are all the heroes of our own story, and think about the kind of tales you would want to hear or watch a movie about. Probably it's about somebody who maybe got beaten down but overcame the odds, who started off in humble beginnings but achieved something masterful. So, how are you communicating your narrative as being a hero in a way? Now, if you go back in time to psychoanalyst Carl Jung, one of Sigmund Freud's students, he developed this idea of different types of archetypes in the mind. Anime animus. He said that there were certain archetypical stories that we latch onto, and then that was expounded upon by a mythology researcher who wrote a book called The Hero of a Thousand Faces, who argued that basically every story that we've ever heard throughout time is a variation on the same story, and that a hero goes through a certain set of obstacles or landmarks on their journey to developing themselves. I talk about this in greater depth in my book, Journey to the Ecstatic Self. It's one of the chapters about cultivating your tale. But I think it's an important thing to keep in mind is how are you communicating your story? Are you making yourself the hero? And maybe we can take these more difficult, traumatic experiences that we've all gone through and instead make them launching points into a better version of yourself. They helped you evolve. Because the story that we repeat about ourselves time and time again, it starts to take hold. It builds new neural pathways. In time, the stories we tell actually will supplant the memories we have of events. One of my favorite storytellers and comedians is Hannah Gadsby, and she talks about how she sealed her life off into jokes, and by the repeated telling of those jokes, that became her reality, not the experiences that they were based on, and how those stories, those jokes were incomplete, and it prevented her from fully healing, fully coming into herself. Now, in the traditional hero's journey, there's like 15, 17, 20, there's a lot of steps involved, but I like to simplify it down. I just like to say the journey begins. The hero starts in a place where they're not in their optimal existence. They're in the wrong place, they're in the wrong body, things are not going well. And then there's something that crashes into their life that says, hey, you should be doing something different. And usually the hero rejects that call and says, no, no, no. No, giving this up is too hard. It's too much. I'm just gonna stay here. But then an even bigger thing comes because that's what happens in life, right? First, life pokes you, and if you're not taking the poke, then it starts to push you around a little bit. Eventually, the hero has to set off on this journey. Bad things happen. They have to dig deeper into themselves. Halfway through the story, they either get what they wanted and realize it's not actually that great and they need something else, or they don't get what they want and then they have to build themselves back up again. They fight forces of darkness. They enter the dark night of the soul, ultimately leading to the climax where they get the thing that they thought they wanted. They thought got the thing that they wanted, but they actually also get the thing that they needed. So maybe they thought they wanted treasure or to win the damsel or to slay the dragon, but actually what they wanted and needed was self-reliance and self-respect and self-worth and love and belonging. And then usually they go back to a new normal. Sometimes they go back to where they were before. Sometimes they create a new life, but life resettles into a new normal and they go back to a way things were a little bit before. So you could see this. So yesterday I talked about Harry Potter because that's one of my favorite stories, but we can look at this similar sort of narrative through the first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer or Philosopher's Stone, right? Harry's living with the Dursleys. It's not going well. The call of adventure comes, which of course are the letters from Hogwarts. But even before that, it's the weird stuff that keeps happening around him, ending up on the school's gymnasium, the glass disappearing out of the snake's tank. And even though he has these things, he doesn't really accept it. He's like, no, 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 I live under the stairs. Life sucks. That's what life is always going to be. But then, of course, the big event happens. Hagrid shows up, says you're a wizard, and we're off on an adventure. Now, it's Harry Potter's structured a little bit very much in an adventure mystery sort of style. What is the Sorcerer's Stone? What's going on with Voldemort? But when we look at this idea of Harry getting the thing that he actually wants or needs versus what he wants, like he wants the Sorcerer's Stone, right? Like that's what he wants. He wants to solve the mystery, save the Sorcerer's Stone from Voldemort. But what he actually needs, he needs home. He needs belonging. He needs companionship. He needs to feel like he's part of something bigger than just himself. And that's what he ultimately gets by the end of the book, is an identity, that he belongs to something more. He becomes embedded in this wizarding world, and then he's able to go back to the Dursleys, changed, and he goes back to a new normal where he's more respected than he was before he found out he was a wizard. He gets his own bedroom even. So how do we look at your story? How do we take your story that has had its pitfalls, that has had its challenges, and recraft it from being a story of abuse or neglect or hardship to being a story of triumph and overcoming the odds and being powerful? How do you own your narrative? And as Brene Brown says, if you take control of the story, then you get to choose the ending, which I think is a very powerful idea. So how are you telling your story? I go into this much more deeply in my upcoming book, Journey to the Ecstatic Self. I would love to talk to you more about it there. It's available for pre-sale on Amazon. Check it out. And yeah, we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. So please share this with people you think would enjoy it so we can hit that 1,000-person threshold soon. Like, subscribe, comment. I love engaging with you all. If you ever have video requests, please email them to me or leave a comment with a request. I listen to those and I do create content based on that. So hopefully this is meaningful for you. I am Kay. This is Ecstatic Self. Thank you for your time today. Namaste.